brace yourself, because the alternative is that what we are actually seeing is misidentified technology.
When Mike Adams's shovel struck something solid beneath the scorched Iraqi soil, he expected another pottery shard, not the impossible. Brushing aside the sand, he uncovered a perfectly carved stone object with a curved handle.
Sitting in the middle of it is this human figure who's holding this strange bag in his hand.
An artifact long believed to exist only in ancient Sumerian carvings. The mythical handbag of the gods, suddenly real, lay trembling in his hands. Its pattern shimmered unnaturally, its weight felt deliberate, and its craftsmanship defied everything he understood about early civilization. Within minutes, Dr. Asha Neifer and the entire team crowded around the find, stunned into silence. None of them knew this discovery would ignite a global scientific upheaval, resurrect forgotten knowledge, and challenge humanity's understanding of where civilization truly began. The journal that changed everything. Months before the discovery, Mike Adams had already become obsessed with the mysterious Sumerian handbag symbol. While sorting archived storage boxes in the British Museum basement, he stumbled upon a dust-covered leather journal wedged behind a crate. Its brittle pages belonged to Sir Leonard Woolley, the celebrated archaeologist of the 1920s. Most of Woolley's writings had been published, but this forgotten volume held something extraordinary. A brief entry from March 1923 describing an unusual artifact local workers had uncovered near Uruk. Woolley recorded its resemblance to the god's purse depicted in carvings, but dismissed it as a likely forgery. Yet he noted the stone's peculiar composition and sketched rough coordinates. Mike photographed everything and plunged into research. The handbag motif appeared across Mesopotamian art, from Sargon II's winged Apkallu figures to the 11,000-year-old pillars of Göbekli Tepe, suggesting a symbol that predated writing itself. Some scholars claim the bags held sacred water, others believe they stored divine knowledge. Mike presented these findings to Dr. Asha Neifer, who hesitated but ultimately approved adding Woolley's coordinates to their upcoming expedition. For 6 weeks, the dig yielded only routine artifacts. Then, under the brutal afternoon sun, Mike's shovel struck stone, precisely where Woolley's forgotten notes had pointed. The artifact no one expected to be real. The team gathered around the stone object as if afraid it might vanish. Roughly the size of a briefcase, it carried a curved handle and flawless geometric engravings that spiraled with mathematical precision. Even beneath layers of dust, the surface absorbed light instead of reflecting it, giving the object an almost living quality. Dr. Yuki Tanaka performed a quick XRF scan and frowned. The readings showed diorite-like minerals mixed with trace elements unknown in any Mesopotamian quarry. The crystalline structure itself appeared engineered rather than naturally formed. Along the base ran symbols resembling cuneiform, yet none matched known scripts. Dr. Neifer immediately contacted Dr. Hassan al-Mahmoud, the region's most respected linguistic expert. When he arrived 2 days later, he froze before the artifact, whispering that he had never believed such objects existed outside mythology. He spent 3 days studying the inscriptions, cross-referencing tablets from Uruk, Kish, and even Proto-Elamite sites. When he finally addressed the team, his voice shook. The script, he said, was proto-cuneiform, older than any known writing, at least 5 centuries earlier than Sumer's earliest records. The inscription referenced carriers of foundation, beings who brought humanity 7 essential principles: agriculture, mathematics, astronomy, metallurgy, written language, medicine, and architecture. According to the text, these principles were stored within objects identical to the one before them. He looked at Mike with solemn intensity. "This is not symbolic," he said. "It was meant to be opened." The debate and the preparation. The suggestion to open the artifact split the camp instantly. Some argued that moving it to a controlled museum laboratory was the only safe option. Others feared that transportation might destabilize whatever ancient mechanism lay inside. Dr. al-Mahmoud insisted the inscriptions were explicit. The object was engineered as a vessel, not a ceremonial carving, and its creators expected future generations to access its contents. Dr. Neifer held hours of tense discussion before approving a controlled opening on site. The team constructed a climate-regulated containment tent, outfitted with spectrometers, thermal cameras, vibration sensors, and high-resolution recorders. Dr. Tanaka ran repeated scans, confirming faint internal voids and dense internal cores, suggesting compartments, yet no seams that typical tools could exploit. As preparations intensified, sleep became rare. Mike spent long nights outside his tent, staring at the stars the ancient Sumerians once charted, wondering what knowledge had been hidden for 5 millennia. Dr. Neiffer joined him one evening, acknowledging the risks, but reminding him that archaeology often balanced uncertainty with discovery. If the object was what Al-Mahmoud believed, a time capsule engineered by an advanced early culture, then opening it might reveal the most significant archaeological revelation in history. By the second morning, sensors were calibrated, tools sterilized, and protocols finalized. The team stood ready before an artifact that seemed to hum with potential. Opening the impossible handbag. Inside the containment tent, silence settled as Dr. Tanaka examined the 3D scans again. The carvings along the handle weren't decorative. They formed a pressure map. By relieving tension at precise points, he believed the stone would unlock itself rather than fracture. With approval from the Iraqi Ministry of Antiquities, the team initiated the procedure. A micro drill emitted a soft hum as it delivered microscopic pulses to the first node. A faint vibration rippled through the artifact. The second and third nodes responded with a subtle, low-frequency resonance, like a tuning fork humming in a distant room. Everyone stepped closer when the fourth pressure point triggered a gentle tonal shift, almost musical. "Hold," Dr. Neiffer ordered, waiting for the sensors to stabilize. When all readings remained steady, she nodded. Tanaka adjusted the final node. For several seconds, nothing happened. Then a delicate click echoed through the tent. A nearly invisible seam appeared where no seam had existed. Slowly, without any applied force, the handle lifted itself a fraction of an inch, releasing a vacuum seal preserved across millennia. "It's opening," Tanaka whispered. The upper portion separated from the base with mechanical elegance, revealing a metallic inner chamber that had never seen air since antiquity. Within the smooth cavity lay 7 transparent, iridescent cylinders aligned in recessed grooves. Each glowed faintly, as though holding captured light. Etched onto their surfaces were 7 symbols: a grain stalk, geometric figures, a constellation pattern, crossed hammers, written characters, a medicinal plant, and a temple-like structure. The team stared, breathless. Whatever they had expected, this was far beyond it.
Inside the 7 cylinders.
No one touched the cylinders at first. Their translucent surfaces shimmered with shifting layers of color, as if the material held motion within stillness. Dr. Tanaka scanned them cautiously and stiffened at the readings. Each cylinder emitted a stable, low-level energy signature unlike any natural mineral. It was structured, patterned, almost as though the medium inside was storing information. Dr. Al-Mahmoud gently lifted the cylinder marked with written characters. The iridescent interior refracted the light into delicate lattices, revealing embedded layers too organized to be random. "This is a storage medium," he whispered. "Literal, not symbolic." When the cylinders were transported to a temporary laboratory, advanced spectroscopy, laser tomography, and quantum-level imaging began revealing data encoded at the molecular scale. What emerged stunned every scientist present. The agriculture cylinder contained detailed instructions for irrigation canals, soil rotation, seed hybridization, and pest-resistant crop strains, knowledge thousands of years ahead of documented Mesopotamian farming. The mathematics cylinder held proofs, constants, and geometric frameworks so precise they aligned with modern computational models. The astronomy cylinder mapped planetary orbits with uncanny accuracy and charted star positions predating known Sumerian observations. Then came the medicine cylinder. Within its shimmering matrix were formulas for compounds that resembled natural antibiotics. When synthesized and tested, one formula showed potent activity against modern drug-resistant bacteria. Each cylinder demonstrated mastery far beyond the era that should have produced them. The implication was inescapable. An advanced culture, or an elite cadre of knowledge keepers, had existed long before the earliest cities. They had condensed civilization's core disciplines into durable vessels engineered to survive collapse, conflict, and time. The handbag had not been a mythic symbol. It was a library. The global scientific upheaval. News of the discovery exploded across the world. Within weeks, international research teams arrived in Baghdad, where a specialized secure laboratory was constructed to analyze the cylinders around the clock. Every discipline, archaeology, physics, linguistics, materials science, computational imaging, converged on the mystery. Early findings spread through academic circles like aftershocks. The metallurgy cylinder revealed instructions for alloy production far more sophisticated than anything known from the Bronze Age. The architecture cylinder detailed structural principles resembling modern load distribution models. The writing cylinder contained early linguistic frameworks suggesting humanity's first scripts were not accidental evolutions, but deliberate teaching tools. Each revelation chipped away at long-held assumptions about how civilization emerged. The more scientists decoded, the clearer the narrative became. The beings referred to in the proto-cuneiform were not divine figures, but instructors, guardians entrusted with safeguarding the intellectual foundations of human society. They were depicted as carriers of foundation, not because they held ceremonial items, but because they literally carried civilization's core knowledge in these engineered vessels. This meant that long before the rise of Sumer, a concentrated source of advanced understanding had existed. Whether it was a forgotten culture, a collapsed proto-civilization, or a specialized group of knowledge-bearers remained unknown. But their intention was unmistakable. They anticipated disaster, rebuilding, uncertainty, and designed a system to ensure humanity could recover. The scientific community found itself confronting a paradigm shift. Human progress was no longer a slow, accidental climb. It was now evidence of deliberate inheritance. The handbag had become the most disruptive archaeological discovery in modern history, proof that the ancient world was guided by minds far more advanced than scholars ever imagined. The legacy of the discovery. The discovery thrust Mike Adams into global attention, though he insisted he was only the one who bent down to lift what history had hidden. Conferences requested him, documentaries followed him, yet he always redirected praise toward the anonymous minds who engineered the handbag and toward Woolley's forgotten journal that made the rediscovery possible. "The story isn't about me," he repeated. "It's about the brilliance we forgot to remember." The handbag was transferred to the Iraq Museum, displayed under strict security beside translations of its inscriptions and digital renderings of the 7 cylinders. Meanwhile, research teams across multiple countries continued decoding their contents, each breakthrough adding new depth to humanity's origin story. Back at Uruk, the excavation expanded. The site revealed structural anomalies, buried chambers, and hints of additional deposits, suggesting the handbag may have been only one of several encoded repositories. Dr. Neiffer often revisited the moment the seam first opened, calling it the closest archaeology had ever come to hearing the ancient world speak directly. One evening, she and Mike stood at the edge of the dig site, watching floodlights illuminate the ruins. "They didn't just leave history behind," she said quietly. "They left instructions." Mike nodded, feeling the weight of the desert wind. "And we finally learned how to read them." The ancient handbag had revealed a message preserved across 5,000 years. Humanity once held knowledge far beyond what history recorded, and its guardians tried to ensure it would never fully disappear. As science races to decode what remains, one question lingers: how much more waits beneath the sand, still silent and undiscovered? Share your thoughts below, and thank you for watching.